Welcome to the first official Gaining Prayer Levels talk. I know I did two other talks before this. Number one, Are You Woke? And number two, The Truth About Video Games and You. But I've decided to make it official. This is going to be a series of just me talking about this new rabbit hole I'm in, or whatever I really want to, like what's happening in my life or anything like that. But yeah, this is the first official episode of Gaining Prayer Levels Talks. And this is going to be about, is magic real and how it's understood, or misunderstood, sorry. But I just wanted to tell you guys where like my biggest influences come from before we actually get into this topic. And my biggest influences for this channel and for these talks are, one, Alan Watts. I just love that dude and everything he says. And then I have Neville Goddard, which is a really amazing person who goes into the Bible and stuff like that, and he has a really unique view on it. Another one is Sadhguru. He is my more Indian Hinduism type of reference, and then ultimately the person who like made me motivated to start a channel and start talking about stuff that I'm interested in is Spiritual Soul, and he is my biggest influence for actually putting aside the time and doing the action for this. So yeah, now let's get right into it. So, is magic real? Amazingly enough, it turns out that yes, magic is real. Magic is misunderstood, and it gives the wrong impression, implying images of nerds at the mall in black robes or silly new age nonsense. Magic has nothing to do with any of these things. It's deep and truly profound. Magic, or as it's properly called, magica, the art of science of causing change in conformity with will, is, in my opinion, one of the greatest gems of Western culture. And it's a hidden gem at that. It's the tradition that some of the greatest geniuses of Western history, including the originators of science, were involved in. For example, Francis Bacon, Daniel Defoe, William Butler Yeats, Dr. John Deere, and Pythagoras, and many others were involved in. So is magic real? It's certainly been real enough to shape history and been a subject for fascination for some of the greatest people in history. Magica is the long-running sacred tradition of the West, in the same way that esoteric yoga or Tibetan Buddhism are sacred traditions in the East. Practically speaking, is the path of enacting your spiritual growth ritually in the day-to-day world, because that's what tends to be healthy for people in Western cultures. I mean, dropping out of life and sitting up on a mountain top meditating for the rest of your life is, by and large, an Eastern path. It's an outgrowth of Asian culture and a path that works remarkably well in the cultural context of Hinduism and Buddhism. But people living in America, the UK, Europe, or other Western locals, by and large, do not live in a culture that supports that. We live in a culture that forces action in the world, where the path to independence, self-reliance, and happiness tends to rely on rolling up your sleeves and getting that shit done in the real world. While the Western tradition incorporates a lot of meditation, it isn't a path that allows escape from reality. It's a path of directly confronting reality, the circumstances of your life, and using those circumstances as the raw material for your spiritual growth. Consider the legend of alchemy, for example, in which the practitioner is spoken of having magical power of transmitting lead into gold, or in some cases, turning shit into gold. This is what it's talking about, or taking lead, which represents mundane, boring existence, and turning it into gold. Taking shit that you're given and turning it into gold. Taking the raw matter of existence and making it into something truly incredible. The Western sacred tradition has been an underground tradition for most of the last 2 millennia because of the persecution by the Catholic Church and other religious institutions, despite, ironically, the fact that many of its adherents were historically seeking direct communion with God. Perhaps it's a threat to the priesthood monopoly. And I just want to get this clear. I'm talking about people who were practicing magic were trying to directly commune with God, and they were persecuted despite their love and dedication for actually trying to talk to him. All right, now it had like magic has snaked its way through our history and manifested under various names and at various times, such as uh, sorry about that. Gnosticism, Catharism, witchcraft, alchemy, Kabbalah, Enochian, Freemasonry, Rose Curtainism, the Golden Dawn, Thalama, and Chaos, and many other forms. The tradition is often given the blanket name Magica. This is unfortunate in some ways because it conjures up fanciful ideas of magical powers, which really isn't the point, and immediately makes people associate the mysterium tremendum with the following things, which are bullshit, which they are bullshit, like tacky Satanism or tacky satanic nonsense, New Agers making silly claims, people into magic mainly as a way to accumulate jewelry and flashy clothes to one up other outsiders, people in magic to collect books or art, people telling you, hey man, you don't have to do it the hard way despite never having done it the hard way. People using spirituality to advance a personal, cultural, financial, or political agenda. Religious or cult servitude to an evil spirit, being into that one band that uses occult imagery. People who think they can put spells on other people. People who take a lot of drugs and conclude that they're special. Creepy swingers who lure impersonable undergrads into their mildewy dens of suburban sin with the promise of real power. Magic has nothing to do with any of this. It does have to do with hard work, perseverance, study, discipline, self-sacrifice, years and years of painful trial and error, humility, constant adaptation and evolution, devotion to your own integrity, and most importantly of all, learning to let go. There are no hard and fast rules on how to do that, and the details are different for every single individual, but there are guidelines and principles to help you. Broadly, you live a magical life by, number 1, disciplining your body, mind, and spirit. Number 2, figuring out what you're here for, your unique purpose for existing. And this is a continuum and evolves over time. Take that into note. And number 3, using the discipline developed from step 1 to accomplish step 2, and understanding when you do your true will or engage in your reason for existence, life makes a whole lot more sense. It's not necessarily easier, but it's infused with meaning and major accomplishment in a world where people drift through the seas of meaninglessness. And so, is magic real? Yes, it is, if you actually practice it and you have the discipline to make it real. So this is my talk on magic, and I hope you enjoy. I hope you kind of understood what I'm getting at. I do have social links, so my Twitter and my Twitch. I will start streaming on Twitch sometime around when I get my quest cape, and so all that's below. And if you want to talk to me there, I will be happy to just have a fun conversation with you. So yeah, that's it. Peace and love.